it's rooted in the firm conviction that you should do what you love to do. And I've come to know myself over almost 5 decades, and who I am is somebody that loves to build. I love to build, and I don't like to organize building. I don't like to manage a crew of builders. I actually love to build. I like to put my hands on something and do it. Construct it, conceive it, construct it, realize it, admire it. And I've been doing it all my life, and I got to the point where I said, you need to do it more and find the kinds of projects and the kind of business that will work. So with that in hand, and and my sensibilities towards history, wine, architecture, and the circles that I traveled in, this opportunity seemed to come to me as if it was meant to be. And I suppose that's what a lot of things in life, when you're really positioned for them, when you're really ready to undertake them, the opportunity presents itself, and you walk through that door. And that's why I'm doing this, because it's the fulfillment of an idea of who I am. People tell me when I talk about it, it is transformative for me, what they observe in me. So I just got to say something. My partner Jean, his family's owned this for 1,000 years, and he has another chateau up in the Loire Valley, which he invited me to some 15 years ago, and I went, and I loved the place, and Jean was very easy and amenable, and we'd work on it, we'd do things, and then I started inviting my family and friends to come along. At times we would have 22 people living and working in the chateau, and we'd spend a day working. We'd spend, at 4 o'clock we would have wine and cheese and fruit, and we'd laugh the whole night as we made dinner together. And I started to think, there's something to this. My friends that weren't my family were leaving saying, this is the best vacation I've ever had, and they worked hard. So I thought to myself, there is a place for this kind of vacation in the world. And all the while I knew that this place, this farmhouse, 14,000 square feet of 14th century stone, was disintegrating. And so I basically started to put 2 and 2 together and say, I can create that kind of experiential vacation in a place like this, and use the energy of this new community of people to infuse it with life, and to renovate, renew it, renovate it. And tying it, wrapping it around the vineyard became, kind of a, cherry on the top of the cake. So that's the genesis of the idea came from that sort of series of thinking, that in fact it is a thing that people love to do once they're enmeshed in it. So now I look for the kind of people that I think would love this kind of vacation. And so far I think, I've found 45 souls that love to do that. Here's to them. The chateau is it's owned by Jean's brother Hervé. It has tremendous potential, and I have to say right off the bat that if nothing was done to the chateau, which I'm itching to do stuff, so it's not likely that nothing is going to happen. But if nothing was done to it, it is a beautiful place to wander around, to experience, to inhabit for a while. You will inhabit it for an afternoon. It will inhabit you for a lifetime. It's just that kind of magical place. But having said that, I'm not an idle viewer of history. I want to see history recreated. I want to see what that place looked like in its prime. And so my intent is to marshal whatever resources I can, cash flow from this business, government support, local community, to try to create a team of people that's interested in resurrecting it. I think the model I'd like to use is the Get Alone model, where in Burgundy, in the center of France, they're building from scratch a medieval castle. The head of the Beaux-Arts helped to design it. They bought an old stone quarry. They use all 12th century methods for cutting stone, for moving the stone, for making their tools, for woodworking, for potting, for animal husbandry. And I just think that kind of approach lends itself to what this community and this particular chateau needs. Rather than starting from scratch, I have essentially 5 million stones laying on the ground that we can marshal and put back into the structure that where they once were. At the same time, teaching people and learning what life was like then. My particular piece of it, I think I'd like to make wine, as they made it in the 14th century. And right in this building here, there are 2 14th century Italian tile wine vats that I have no use for them here. I may be able to transfer those up to the chateau and make wine as they made it in the 14th century. I think just from a learning perspective, that would be an incredible exercise. I think we will have hundreds of thousands of people interested in seeing what we would do with that. And in that way, we will infuse new life into this old chateau and bring this community together around a project that I think is dying to happen. I have not met a soul here who has not expressed, I would say, a high level of interest. Whether it be a grandmother who has walked in here while I've been working and said, as a young girl, the chateau was her castle, she was a princess, and she played, her life away there, and still lives in this little village. To the people that came today, who to see something rejuvenated, I think cuts to the core of many of the things that humanity holds close to their hearts. They want to see beauty restored. They want to see form restored. They want to see functionality restored. And I think the couple that came and they're going to put their horses here, they're talking about helping out because they love to see life again, life happening again. Christian, he's so enthusiastic. He's so excited. Right down to his wanting to have his Pink Floyd cover band, rocking the chateau up in that area. He's got it all set up. He worked out the prices. They're just so enthused. The mayor of Monte, both parties that ran in the local election had as a plank in their platform a rejuvenation of the chateau. Now they can't control any of that. That's not in their decision-making power. But it's an indication that this community is really keen to develop it as a resource, to have it as something that the community can once again be proud of, and not just something that BMX bikers ride through on their bike and knock down a few more stones, because that's what's going to happen to it if nothing else. If something doesn't change, it's going to fall into the ground. Gravity wants us all at the bottom of the hill, and it wants every single stone up there at the bottom of the hill. That's not human nature. We want to put it back the way it was. So I think the community is very much charged up about this. They're very excited about the things I'm doing here at the farm, and they have an inkling of what I want to do at the chateau, but the full force of it is not yet out there. Honestly, in the 45 I've sold so far, I'd say that there have been probably 10 different things that were the moment of truth in the particular sale. Some people respond purely and simply to the fact of the wine. Many people respond to the fact that they can put their own label on the bottle, and so that when they have dinner, they can pull their bottle out and it's their label from their vineyard in the south of France. For some people, it's a sense of history. Their eyes light up when you're talking to them. You know that you've got them at that point. The fact that I'm offering people a lifetime of benefit for the first 1,000 people that join, they'll be lifetime members. They will be able to come here for as long as they live. The reason for that is because I want to build a community. I'm not interested, so much in taking people's money and hitting the cash register and being done. I want people to come here and fall in love with it and want to come back and want to stick their hands in the earth and make a difference. Not just for this place, but for themselves, because it will change them. If they open up to it, it will change them. And so the kind of people I run across, I go to wine shows as part of my marketing program, and I talk to hundreds of people at these wine shows. First of all, I know they're lovers of wine because they're there. But you know what? For example, Boston, 12,000 people came through. I talked to 300. 100, were interested enough to put down their name, for follow-up. And it's those 100 that twigged on the lifestyle advantages of coming here and being part of something, being part of a new community that is doing something that they couldn't do in their wildest imagination if they could not find a way to do this. There's no way in the world they could do this. France is a bureaucratic country. I have to believe that it's built on millennia of Roman, Celtic, Frankish, Gothic overlays of organization. But it is a country that requires a lot of management. You know how I feel about that. But for the most part today, I was able to get my hands in the dirt and the rest of my body apparently, and clear some brush, move some trees around. I've discovered down in the lower part of the farm here a couple of old olive trees that were grown over by vines and brambles and whatnot, and so I cut them out of all that bramble, and I'm going to try to resurrect them as old olive trees. And I hope that's good. So that's probably what I consider my best accomplishment. And the other thing I did is went and got a bunch of material to begin tiling the floors in the farmhouse. So a little bit of inching forward here, inching forward there. Starting your own business, entrepreneurial endeavor requires a certain amount of craziness. There is a quote, I can't remember who said it, but the only progress in the world, the only thing that ever moves humanity forward are unreasonable people. The quote is men, but I'll change it to people. It's unreasonable people that don't accept the status quo, that don't accept the way things are always done. It's unreasonable people that seek new ways to do things. And in doing so, they change the world. And, so if your students view me as crazy, I would encourage them to look deeper and think about the fact that it may be that I'm just unreasonable and that I don't accept the status quo and that I think there are many ways to do things. I've inherited from my father a favorite quote, and that is, there's always a way from A to B. Just because you don't find it sometimes doesn't mean that there isn't a way. And so I am trying to find my way from A to B here. I'm trying to find my way to making this successful. to making it possible for me to continue to just build, for the rest of my life, and to make it possible that I can share this feeling with as many people who want to ride this bus.